At this year's Doha Forum in March, I had the opportunity to speak with His Excellency Mohammed al Mannai, Qatar's Minister of Communications and Information Technology. In the backdrop of panel discussions and workshops on ways the international community can collaborate on key global challenges, we discussed the future of digital transformation and its potential to revitalize economies across the MENA region. Minister al Mannai detailed Qatar's strategy for digital engagement, a policy effort that dates back roughly 20 years. He talked about digital skilling, entrepreneurship, and attracting startups to his country. All topics and themes we're covering this month on the Riyada podcast. Take a listen. Your Excellency, thank you so much for being with us today. We at the Middle East Program at the Wilson Center have been focused in our research on digital transformation as a key strategy to revive economies in the Middle East and North Africa region, precisely after the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact on various economies in the region, of course, with varying degrees. So we're very happy to be here in Doha, Qatar, to zoom into the Qatar journey and the Qatar experience. So as the Minister of Communications and Information Technology, how do you see Qatar's strategy when it comes to digital transformation?
Thanks a lot for asking me. I think Qatar digital transformation has started since almost 20-25 years, and now we are sitting on a level of digital engagement, whether from government or from corporate Qatar. I would classify it with a very high level of engagement. Even the maturity level of government services is considered to be the first in MENA area, based on a recent report. So I'm very much satisfied. However, in the level of SMEs and new businesses, we still need to do much more work. So this will be an area of focus for us in our future digital transformation plan. In addition to enhancing the existing capability of digitization that the government has reached, which include building services in a different way. So whether we build services based on a technology or a service itself, we need to build it based on a citizens or on a business. So it's a complete shift of how we deliver services as government to the general public in the future, inshallah.
And that is much more targeted when it's specifically focused on citizens versus businesses. So that's sort of a much higher level, much more detailed approach to digital transformation.
Yeah, it should follow a well-known approach which is called life moment. So it's a life moment of an individual or a businesses with digital services they might acquire from the government. So that's how the new way of building government services should be, and hopefully we will start building toward that. It's challenging as it's not easy. When you build single horizontal technologies or services, then you want to integrate them so that the citizen will receive a seamless experience of multiple services. But we think it's doable, and we will take that challenge and see where we will reach.
Well, good luck on that journey. But how do you see digital transformation as key to Qatar's economy? I mean, you are a resource-rich country amongst others in the region, but there are many others that are resource-poor, so they're trying to invest more in technology. So how do you see this further benefiting your economy?
Well, we are a resource country, yes, but everything has a limit, and our limit is the human capital, the human resources. So digital transformation across sectors help us to bridge that gap that we have in human resources in order to fulfill the country's ambitions. So we look into, for example, the reskilling of resources nationwide in order to be ready for the fourth industrial revolution and be ready for the future. Also, the level of engagement of individuals in Qatar with the technology is the highest in the world, as we are speaking today. All that help us actually to use the technology in order to serve the economy and grow the economy, and also bridging any gaps that we will have in terms of other types of resources.
So you mentioned human capital, and you're very wisely investing in that and prepping your workforce for all the challenges and opportunities of the future of work. What are the main areas that you think Qatar needs most investment in terms of upskilling or reskilling? Is it digital skills or is it digital skills plus plus?
It's digital skills, specifically in data science.
Okay.
Because that's what will shape the future. So we need to invest a lot in data scientists and people that knows how to use data wisely and build on that. For the future technologies, data is the basis of it, but how good in structuring your data and providing access to your data is how good your use of the future emerging technologies.
Do you see that as you strengthen digital skills and you have particularly more data scientists and encourage more people in that direction, that Qatar becomes a hub for technological innovation as well?
Sure. One of our main is to transfer our investment on infrastructure into investing on services. We have done lots of investment on infrastructure, and we believe that that market is saturated and there is an oversupply in it. But how to utilize that in order to deliver much better services, that will a lot depend on how innovative the country are and how we can attract innovation from abroad in order to utilize that infrastructure and also platforms which enable them to do so.
So you spoke earlier about an area that you would like to see more work and more movement, which is small and medium businesses. What are the challenges there from your vantage point as Ministry of ICT, and where do you want to go with this?
I think the challenge with the SME is a classic challenge across the world, which I would like to call it the offline businesses and online businesses.
Yeah.
So the SME characterized here in Qatar, even though they have access to internet, affordable and with high cost, they still do not make great use of that. So we need to bring them from offline business status to online business status, and I think we have a role there to play, and we have few ideas that we should start examining with those type of businesses in order to encourage them to join us in the digital transformation area.
And is this effort sort of in collaboration with other ministries that are focused on strengthening the entrepreneurship ecosystem?
Sure. Well, we are part of the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Qatar. We have around 4 different platforms that actually support entrepreneurs, and we are one of the winners of those, and we collaborate with all the others in order to achieve. For sure, setting target is a challenge for entrepreneurship, since we have different platforms, but we would try as much as possible to set a unified target so that we can actually move the course with an end result, rather than having it as an open platform for trial and error and maybe sometimes achieving non-useful ideas. It's good to play sometimes, but it's also good to achieve targets and be responsible.
Absolutely. And do you see any change or shift to more digital platforms or e-commerce in general after or during or as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic? There's a trend worldwide in that direction.
The trend had started for us pre the COVID. We have seen lots of businesses that transform to e-commerce platforms, but the pattern has increased during the COVID time. For us, I think the most remarkable thing during the COVID is the level of trust that the digital transformation and digital industry overall has gained, which is, I think, a big success rather than the deployment of the e-commerce platform or digital means. So the people trust on digital means today is very high.
This is a really important point.
At least in Qatar.
At least, no, absolutely. But there is a general trend, but there's also such such an important point on trust. The World Bank just issued a new report entitled "The Upside of Digital in the MENA Region," and in the conversations about the findings of the report, the trust factor to moving to digital services, particularly in fintech, and that's key to any successful e-commerce activities, was very important. And there's a shift in mindset that, sort of shifting away from cash towards fintech and digital payments. Where is Qatar when it comes to fintech and basically integrating technology into the financial sector in general?
In general, the regulation of the financial center in Qatar, whether it's a technological mean or a classical mean, it sits with the Qatar Central Bank. So Qatar Central Bank is the regulator for all the technologies that are related to the financial center. I believe that the Qatar Central Bank is launching their new strategy, which will include big part of it as fintech. At the same time, they are trying to establish two sandboxes where they can start testing technologies and taking it to the future.
And that's key to unlocking many different sectors.
Sure. I think areas where it has many regulator involvement across regulators, we need to establish a sandbox so that we can at least give a brief to the investor, to the innovators to go ahead and start testing their ideas.
Absolutely. So how can Qatar establish itself as not just a leader in terms of leading the way with e-government services, but also digitization of various sectors, but also to becoming a hub in the region to attract others to come in and set up shop here? This will generally have a positive spillover across the region, but it will benefit Qatar as well.
Well, we are working here in a multi-layer approach. So we are preparing the infrastructure. We are attracting the cloud service providers, hyperscalers like Microsoft and Google. We are modifying our legal framework so that it can accommodate their need to operate in our environment. And at the same time, on top of that, we are providing multiple platforms where companies or innovators can come and operate, whether it's a free zone type of operation or inland country type of operation. So we have like 4 or 5 different platforms that would suit different industries and different use cases. I would say that we are progressing very well in the legal and regulatory fronts, and hopefully over the coming 1 to 2 years, many legal pieces will be introduced or modernized. And also at the same time, the government should endorse its national cloud policy, where we'll be setting ourselves committed to certain action items that we will need to deliver as a government.
And how do you see your ministry's role in also helping other countries in the region who perhaps need some direction, but also support in strengthening their digital platforms and capabilities? Yeah.
I think if I would have to use the base of cloud hyperscale infrastructure that would be available to Qatar, that would be guaranteed and accessible by the region, that by itself is a lot, because all the autonomous technologies that are coming toward the future, they cannot be operated from the States or Europe due to the physical necessity.
Of course.
So they will need to be hosted somewhere in the region, and we are ready to provide that platform with the right legal and regulatory assurances that would increase the level of trust in hosting data.
I want to turn to a topic that is highly important in the digital space that has been highlighted, particularly due to the pandemic, which is the gender aspect in digitization. Many countries in the region suffer from a digital divide, particularly in gender terms. So computers are more accessible, for example, to men than women, or technology in general. Do you see that there is a challenge in Qatar in this regard, or at least if technology is accessible, as you said it is, are there differences in the way technology is being used differently by men and women?
Well, in Qatar in general, all the laws doesn't prejudice toward a certain gender when it comes to the use of technology, so the base is available. We see also the majority of workforce, professional workforce in the industries, at least among the locals, They are females.
Oh, interesting.
So we have overcome the gender inequality issue by having the other gender contributed positively toward the economy and toward the country. And I think also when it comes to education level, the access again is ubiquitous regardless of the gender. So I don't see it as a problem in Qatar specifically.
So you mentioned education, and that gets me thinking about the role of technology during COVID-19 pandemic. In basically creating or uplifting some, ed tech as a sector. Where do you see this moving forward as we emerge out of the COVID-19 pandemic?
For sure, the experience that we gained from COVID-19 pandemic shouldn't be forgotten, and we should be always ready for such circumstances. And I think the technology can support all industries, not only in education, also in health and many other areas of life in order to be ready for another catastrophe, same as the pandemic. So we should be always keep ourselves ready. We should even try to introduce remote working, remote learning, remote health as part of our routine mode of operation going forward.
Or at least the hybrid model to begin with. So just to wrap up here, if there's one message you want to leave our audience with about Qatar's digital strategy moving forward, what would you say?
I would say that we have one of the, I would say, most liberal set of laws when it comes to data privacy, when it comes to the use of technology, when it comes to cybersecurity. So we are a platform that's ready to welcome you. We are a platform that has been evaluated and tested by many giants in the world. So why not you? So come and join us.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your time.
Most welcome. Thanks a lot.
This podcast is funded by a grant from the United States Department of State. The opinions, findings, and conclusions of this podcast are those of our guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the United States Department of State.